we have lots of horses riding. It's really active. This is part of the battlefield. And they're charging the Southern troops.
Yeah.
Now there are all kinds of uniforms because in the Civil War there was no uniformity of uniform. And guess who these are?
Southerners.
These are the rebels.
Rebels.
Now they're actually shooting round and round of ammunition, but of course, you know, it's not no bullets, no lead in it. And there are resulting casualties. After they clear the battlefield, the women go out there and bring them back to the surgeon's tent where their wounds are taken care of and bandaged, and the surgeon saws off an arm and a leg here and there. Actually, looks like it because they get people who are amputees and they have this thing in the cloth and they throw the leg out. Scares the bejeeber. And for those who don't make it, there's also an undertaker who shows how to embalm. Some of the soldiers, before they went in, decided to pay a fee just in case for embalming. Well,
You don't have a picture of them going up the outhouse.
no. Well, the technology didn't fail me when it came down to push and shove. But that's always a worry. You know, sometimes technology isn't so great. But the main thing I want to talk about now is cooperating with other organizations. And how do you do that? How does it work? What things can we do? You know, we do other things just like other museums do. We put out a quarterly newsletter, just like most organizations try to. But all of ours relate to something in history. That's always our feature article. And so members always get a brand new story. And we have many people writing these. One of our more prominent writers is Carol Neufeld. She does a lot of the work for us. And then I edit it and print it in my shop. We also this is the Inquiring Mind series for this year. And the local bank, Columbia Bank, gives the money for printing of it. And then all the museums then distribute it. And our next event is coming on, February the 11th at Fort Steilacoom. Dave the Convery from the Washington State Museum is going to present a program called Following Lewis and Clark in Their Washington Discoveries. So remember that, February 11th. Come and see it. It doesn't cost you any money. We kind of like you to donate for the goodies.
Where again is it, Orville?
At Fort Steilacoom in
Steilacoom.
Quarters 4.
Okay.
And now we also work with the Tribal Museum in the town of Steilacoom, and they're having in March listening to tales of the Métis childhood, and so on. And Ezra Meeker is going to be ranting and raving at DuPont. Have any of you heard Ray Egan do some of these impersonations? He does a marvelous job. He's doing that one, and so on.
What time are these usually? Is it all
They're
day?
usually at the same time, usually at 2 o'clock on a Sunday. And there are brochures available. We try to keep some in the Visitors Bureau in here, Lakewood. Yeah, Chamber. If they don't have any more.
At the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, well, yeah. It's
Right
close
across
here,
the
across the
street.
street, isn't it?
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Okay. They also have some of our brochures. This is a brochure with, I'm printing color now. How do you like that? Full
Yeah,
color.
that's good. We like that.
I took the photo too, so
Yeah.
I can brag a little bit.
You have quite a printing.
Well, we also are involved now in a monograph series. And this is one that Kenneth Morgan, one of our prime reenactors of Colonel Casey, has written about Casey. The Casey family lives in Rhode Island, and he's been back there to their home. And here's one, an excellent one, that was written by the late Hilda Scott. Did any of you know Hilda?
Yes.
Okay. A wonderful, wonderful, charming person. She wrote about what happened to Fort Steilacoom after the hospital got it. And so this is about a 32-page monograph, very cheap, $3.50. See, we're not making a lot of money on it.
Right.
Because we're trying to promote history. Here's a book that it's out of print right now, that Gary Reese provided the text of Christmases in the Northwest, and said, go ahead and you can print it. So I made a book. I do a lot of printing for history. I really limit my work to historical groups, because I don't want a walk-in shop. And so I print newsletters for 4 different museums. Of course, Fort Steilacoom, they get theirs practically free. I do the museum quarterly for the town, for the Steilacoom Historical Museum Association. And I do the quarterly for the Fort Lewis Military Museum. And I've done several others, but Sai's interested in maybe something for your organization. Okay, we'll open it up to thoughts and questions now about working together in projects and whatever you want to
One
ask.
quick question, when would be a good time, can you predict when would be a good time to come and see, when somebody's there?
At the fort, the best time that's coming will be the Memorial Day weekend, because we'll be open from noon till 4 at the museum each of those days. And the park with the reenactment will be open from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. The whole day. And there are 2 battles during the day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon.
But your facility,
Our facility won't be open until then.
until,
And then after that, we'll be open only on Sundays from 2 to 4. No, I'm sorry, I guess it's 3 hours, from 1 to 4 until Labor Day.
okay.
But yes.
You have an idea of the number of museums that surround Lakewood, and I'm particularly concerned about our niche. Is it 1890s, the Roaring Twenties, the Depression? We really are an embryo looking, I mean, there are such wonderful resources all around us, but what do you see our niche?
Well, you have a problem that we don't have at Fort Steilacoom. We're limited, and therefore it makes it a lot easier to select artifacts and whatever. But when you get to an organization like you that's more encompassing, you say, well, what do we reject? And people are mad because we rejected it, for display. And that is hard. You have to determine your own time period. But then maybe look at the Lakewood when it began, when Norton Platt began the idea of Lakewood and the community. Maybe that's a good time to say you begin from there, and on, but you have some prehistory as well. So maybe don't try to concentrate on a period, earlier than that, or you'd be overwhelmed.
That makes me classified as prehistoric.
Well, I'm feeling very strongly about the Roaring Twenties because of Thornwood and Rodesley and the
But there are some
and the
other
coming.
historic
I mean,
things.
starting there,
Right.
not going back. But I know it's difficult.
Maybe concentrate upon a particular time that says Lakewood, but pick up certain things like Thornwood. That has such an interesting history of its own. And these, of course, predate this community, but they're still now part of this community in a way.
It evolved.
Yeah, right.
The early schools,
Any other questions?
early churches, early schools, you can find some dates there.
Right.
Well, we have to decide.
Now, if anyone
Exactly.
wants to talk in further detail about things that relate to some things that I do and that involve you, I'll be glad to do that personally. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
flip side here, you want to, whenever it's your take the wire.